Hey guys, it's DT. Welcome back to the channel. Take a look at this. We have another Sideshow statue here in the studio to review today. It's been a while since I got a Sideshow piece in. However, this one was very highly anticipated. I know I said I was done with yellow Wolverine statues. However, I lied. When this one came up for pre-order, I couldn't resist. This is the Berserker Rage Wolverine. This one doesn't have a specific scale. However, from the dimensions and the photos, it's pretty big. We're gonna take a look at it today. I'm gonna measure it and see what the actual scale of this thing is, and maybe compare it to some of the other Wolverines in my collection. I already have a ton of quarter scale Wolverines. I have two 1/3 scale Wolverines, but I thought this one was unique enough to add to the collection. It's a little bit grittier than the others, and who knows, it might even be a little bit bigger. So here is a look at the box. Not too big. I think the whole thing weighed about 30 pounds. The price on this thing wasn't too bad, relatively speaking. The retail price for it, I believe, was $820. Then you have to add on tax and shipping, which adds another 100, so about 920. But when you consider that some of the quarter scale statues from Sideshow are now pre-ordering at over $1,000, I think it was a pretty good price. But we'll find out once we get this thing open. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Sideshow is now using the black Velcro straps, so we don't have to deal with cutting tape, taping things back up when we need to box things back up. It has been a while since I opened a Sideshow statue. And here we go. This guy is huge. Oh, okay, so the base is actually really light. I guess it doesn't have to be too heavy because the statue is pretty compact with a low center of gravity. Here's a look at the bottom. We've got Berserker Rage Wolverine statue. The ES on this one wasn't listed on the website. However, here it is. We got 1,500 units. This is number 47. So pretty big edition size with this statue. However, it's Wolverine. I think it's priced well. So who knows, they might even sell out of this one. So the actual base, we've got this metallic floor with these red vents, a lot of battle damage, scratches, nicks and dents. And then we have this claw mark design. Kind of looks like blood or lava flowing. Some nice texture, some little screws and rivets. This base does have a light up. We've got a USB-C connection with a little power button right there. So I guess all the red areas light up. That should look cool. The statue itself doesn't light up, just the base. All right, so let's take a look at this big guy. Holy. All right, this guy is definitely bigger than my 1/3 scale Wolverines. This thing is huge. It's kind of like a Hulk-sized statue. I have quarter scale Hulk statues that are smaller than this. And while the base is pretty light, the statue itself has some decent weight. We got some nice boots here, some dirt, some wear on the leather. Looks really good. Some nice shading as well around the contours of the boot. But look at all the folds there in the leather. And on the bottom of the boot, which we probably won't see much of, we have a nice tread pattern. We got a zipper there on the inside. This one keys in on the left foot, big key and peg. We got some nice texture here on his suit. Nice shading around the muscles. Some little fabric folds. We even have some veins. Must be some very thin fabric. We also have some little scratches. Maybe a hint at some blood there. Then down here, we got the crotch. Some more texturing on that suit. It's a black belt. However, we do have a red belt buckle and some nice details on the metal there. We got the abs kind of poking through, and then these massive pecs. Again, with the veins, giant arms with the sculpted in hair. Look at that bicep right there. The bicep is almost as big as his chest. That's crazy. Swinging over here, we can see, again, the sculpted in hair, giant triceps, and then these big battle damaged shoulder pads. Some nice shading around the neck to bring out all those muscles and tendons. Some nice shading around the cheeks. We also have the black tiger stripes here on the sides with some blue highlighting. But check out those lats, look how they're popping out. Crazy musculature on this guy. And then look at this, even on this tiger stripe, we have a little border, kind of embroidered, I guess. So this one just has 2 arms and 1 portrait. So let's go ahead and stick this thing on the base. And then we have a head and 2 hands, and that's it. Here is his right hand. We've got cuts and scratches, little indentations. In addition to all the stitching and leather texture, has that worn appearance just like the boots around the knuckles and fingers. This one doesn't have metal claws. They look pretty good. They are shiny and a little bit flexible as well. The left hand is more of the same. The other hand goes down here. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have the portrait. So again, single portrait with this one, and it is a fierce one. Look at that, snarling Wolverine. By holding this in my hand, I can already tell you this is larger than 1/3 scale. It's probably the biggest Wolverine head that I've reviewed here on the channel. I do have a life-size bust that I ordered, but definitely the biggest Wolverine that I have in the collection so far. Great sculpt on the face. Look at these teeth, whited out eyes, furrowed brow. This one looks really nice. We kind of have this geometric cowl here. I know some people aren't fans of it, but I think it's awesome. Kind of a bluish appearance. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be just the highlights. The top of the cowl looks leathery in some places. Other places it looks more like fabric, where we can see kind of the fabric lines there. But then over here where the seams are, it looks more leathery, but I think it looks good. He's got this big underbite with protruding chin, and the chin's got all these little scratches. You know, if this wasn't a licensed piece, I'm sure we'd see a lot more blood on this guy. Really like this portrait. I had this 1/3 scale Wolverine portrait handy, so I thought I'd do a little side by side. You can see how much bigger this one is. And here it is next to the premium format. Who would you pick to win in a fight? This guy or this guy? All right, so let's stick this on the statue. And here is the portraits. Okay, so that was a look at the parts close up as well as the assembly. Let's go ahead and spin this guy around on the turntable, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts. All right, guys, so here he is, Berserker Rage Wolverine. I think this is a pretty amazing piece. I am very impressed. The size, the paint, but we'll get into that in a bit. So let's find out what the scale of this guy is. To do that, we're gonna need to measure his height using a string. He's got shoes on, so that's gonna add to his height as well, but we'll measure it with his shoes and follow his bone structure. He's curved over, and then his head kind of goes up at the end, but it'll be close. If this guy was to be standing straight up, somewhere between 33 and 33.5 inches tall. Wolverine is supposed to be 5'3", but with these shoes, I'd give him another 1.5 inches, making him 5'4.5", total of 64.5 inches tall. And in order to find out the scale, we're gonna divide 33.5 by 64.5, which gives us 0.5193, rounding it off 0.52, which means that this guy is really close to being half scale, making him the biggest Wolverine in my collection. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna display this one. He's a little bit too big to go with the 1/3 scales, and he's definitely too big to go with the 1/4 scales. So I think he's gonna need to be displayed all on his own, which I don't mind. So a half scale statue under $1,000 at Sideshow. Still expensive by any means. However, when it comes to statues, I think it's a screaming hot deal. Let's take a look at some of these details. So the base itself is pretty simple, kind of a museum style base. We do have a nice metallic paint We've got a little hint of rust in there as well. The depth is not crazy, so it's going to be pretty easy to display on most shelves. Moving on to Mr. Wolverine himself. This sculpt is pretty awesome, I have to say. Very detailed. I guess you have to be with a statue this big. A lot of muscularity on this Wolverine. Love all the textures used in the costume. He's got all this sculpted in hair on his arms. I think the only thing that looks a little bit odd is this right bicep. I mean, it is huge, maybe a little bit too big. And it doesn't look too bad from the side view. However, when you're looking at it right in the front, it just looks a little bit out of proportion with his tricep. But it is flex, and it is a comic book, but I like it. It just makes him look all that much more crazy. The shoulder pads here are not your traditional Wolverine shoulder pads. They look a bit worn and aged. They don't have those sharp, clean edges like we're used to seeing on the yellow-suited Wolverine. Not smooth at all. They kind of got these indentations, which I really love. They almost look like padding. I really like the pose, although he's kind of bent over, and I usually don't care for bent over statues because they're kind of harder to see. I think this one is excellent, being that Wolverine is kind of a shorter character. He's kind of used to being squatty and hunched over, and this definitely captures that. We can see all the muscles in his legs, definition in his quads and hamstrings. We can see his veins through his costume, which is always kind of weird to me, but something that we've come to expect in the comic book world. So he doesn't come with any head switch outs. Maybe an extra head would have been nice. To be honest, I don't think it really needs it. This one is perfection. If you like this style of Wolverine, we've got some scratches and indentations on his face. The cowl itself is almost blue. You know, maybe it could have been a little bit on the blacker side since he does have the black stripes here. I love the whited out eyes, kind of snarled, crunched up frown. Looks very animalistic, which a Berserker Wolverine should definitely have. One way they could have improved this, maybe metal claws. However, we've come to expect non-metal claws with licensed Wolverine statues. These look pretty awesome, properly spaced out, and a little bit flexible as well. So if we bump into them, one, we're not going to get stabbed, and two, they're not going to break. Very strong magnets here on the head and the arms. They're not going anywhere. The cloth on his neck blend in perfectly with his cowl. It has a little bit less texture than the suit does, more of a leathery look to go along with his boots and gloves. The paint on this is pretty awesome. I like how the costume is kind of all dingy and worn. All the muscles are shaded nicely. This is definitely one of my favorite Wolverine statues. Okay, let's check out the light up feature on this guy. So this one comes with a cord, just a USB-C connection, no AC adapter. So this cord is pretty long as well, so if your outlet is far away, you have a better chance at actually reaching it. So it just plugs in right here. Keep in mind that this doesn't actually come with the outlet plug. I power some of my statues with this big thing. This is a kind of a portable battery, has USB as well as plugs, and we just hit the button to turn it on. Boom. Brightens up those red accents that are already there. The nice thing is it also illuminates the front red as well. Pretty nice, kind of gives a nice bloody lava flow effect. I almost never use light up features because once it's dark, all you see is the light up itself without seeing the statue. You still need some light on the statue itself. Kind of cool that it's there for people that do like them. There are going to be a lot of these out there with an ES of 1500. However, I don't care. I don't think this thing is leaving my collection, so I'm not going to have to worry about selling it. But that large ES is probably responsible for the lower relative price of this guy. So you might lose a little bit with the potential resale value. However, you're saving on the front end. So with that, let me go ahead and grab my other Wolverines and we'll do a little bit of a size comparison. All right, guys, so here is the 1/3 scale Wolverine. This is a nice, clean, museum-style Wolverine standing straight up. This guy is pretty big too, but as you can see, the proportions on these two, as well as the entire concept, are very different. Obviously, you got the upright Wolverine here with the clean suit. Then we got the Berserker Rage over there, all messed up, battle damaged. I'm definitely glad to have both of these Wolverines in my collection. as they kind of demonstrate different styles and looks of Wolverine. And here is the quarter scale premium format Wolverine from Sideshow. Another great Wolverine sculpt. However, you can see how much bigger this guy is. And since we're comparing, here is the 1/6 scale Wolverine. I love all my Wolverines, however, I think this new one is my favorite. Obviously, if you collect some of these smaller scales, you're gonna wanna stick with those just to fit in with your collection a little better. However, I think if you're looking for a huge, detailed, ferocious Wolverine at a pretty decent price, I think this one is gonna be hard to beat. So I've got a lot more Wolverines in my collection. If you guys haven't seen that collection video, make sure to check it out. But I'm really happy to add this guy to it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.